Well, I'm back. And today I was thinking quite a bit about anger. And that thinking led me to decide to bring up this topic for discussion. Where to begin? I heard today, this morning, in the mornings, I often listen to the Jesse Lee Peterson show. It's quite entertaining, and the chat is fun to troll, And this morning, there was a caller that had called in, and he was a Christian. He was kind of seeking, though, in some ways. And those are always very interesting calls that he gets. It's the political stuff is, it leaves a bit to be, obviously. Although it's also interesting too. It's good to hear other perspectives, and if people are entertaining, all the more. But when he discusses with people who are seeking to overcome the fallen state, those are always really interesting conversations that he has. And this morning, there was a man who called in. I can't remember his name, but he was a Christian, and he was talking about how he didn't quite agree with him about anger. And he thought that anger is something that can be good. And he brought up the idea of righteous anger. And then, thinking about it just offhand, the first thought that kind of came to my head as I was thinking about this concept, righteous anger. What is righteous anger, right? What does that mean? Because people use it, and they use it most of the time to justify holding on to anger, being angry. And I think in the context, he talks about certain, I don't remember what he brought up actually as an example, but like thinking about it as a Christian, myself, obviously, I'm still going through my processes of sanctification and learning to repent. But what I found, that what came to me and what I thought was that human beings aren't capable of righteous anger. We aren't capable of it. It's not within our it's not within our ability. It's not our scope. It's not our we are not righteous, are we? And when we are angry, we are certainly not righteous. Now, the only righteous anger I read in the Bible was from God. Our standard for righteousness is God, basically. Humans don't reach that standard of our own accord. We have to be mindful and constantly fearful of God in order to reach some kind of state of righteousness, really. So, that was my thought immediately. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? You think you have righteous anger? Like your anger is justified? And one thing that I appreciate, again, just to go back to the show itself, and obviously I'm not here to talk about the show, Jesse Lee Peterson, and it's, watch it if you like, don't. I watch it for various reasons, or listen to it rather in the morning. But one thing I really appreciate about him specifically is that he actually really encourages people to drop their anger. And that's not a message you get enough. He goes so far as to say that, you know, an angry person is an evil person. And if you have anger, you are evil. And to that, it's something I have to kind of try to understand better. I think I understand it, but then the fact that I think I understand it leads me to understand that there's stuff about what he's saying that I don't quite understand. You know, that those moments when you're very lucid about your limitations in terms of understanding. But what I understand about it, you know, when we are angry, we really become susceptible to evil a lot quicker than with other emotions. We become highly manipulated as well when we are angry. Do not discount that. If you haven't figured this out yet, you know, being angry, it's a real source of wickedness. You know, people allow in so much to themselves and their lives that they would never do if they weren't angry. You know, they allow spirits literally into themselves, and anger is a spirit. Obviously this video is titled Anger is an Energy, but I didn't know what to title it. And, you know, the song by Public Image Limited came into mind, you know, and I like to give tributes to my heroes at times. But yeah, anger becomes a spirit that dwells in people and takes them over and causes them to do wicked things. So when you are angry, you know, you have to really be careful. If you're somebody, well, what I will say is, I don't want to go down that road. What I want to communicate is that if you are angry, you need to find out some way of handling it and doing something about it. You need to become slow to anger. You know, anger needs to be not your first reaction when you are confronted with something you don't like. Having anger be your first reaction is very hostile. You know, people read it that way, even if they don't react that way, because again, a lot of people are fools, and they foolishly think that their anger is righteous because they're deluded. I don't know what else to say about it. You know, they think I have a right to respond angrily, you know, instead of the correct way. So like I said, you need to become slow to anger. If that is not in your nature, you know, if you are just one of those people that is hot-tempered naturally and you've tried and tried, what I will say is if you cannot become slow to anger, you know, if you cannot learn patience to become angry slowly over time, you know, let it build. I think, you know, that's the other thing about it. Like, you need to be careful about that as well. I don't want people to like let it build. Now that I'm saying that out loud, letting it build is not a good idea. But you want to be slow to react with anger regardless. You want that to be the last kind of reaction you have in a situation. You know, you want anger to be something that you resort to once nothing else has worked, you know. And you know, only, and I'm speaking about anger as like what you express to another person. You know, anger is seen as aggressive. Angry people are seen as aggressive, and people wonder, you know, people wonder about why when women are angry, they're you know, you're being aggressive. I don't know, like people don't react well to angry women, and it's not they I've seen this problem happen so many times in women's communities. Anyway, that's just what I'm trying to say. Like women are generally angry in these places. They're angry at the world, and they take it out on each other a lot of the time. Um, so, you know, and then they get mad when they're perceived as being angry too. Like, I'm not angry, I'm justified in my anger. Like, it's just a never ending loop of hell when people are in that kind of mindset, you know, and always defaulting to the anger. Yeah, if you cannot be somebody that is slow to anger, you have to learn how to control your emotions. You know, if you are, you know, the anger is the first thing that comes up to you, you really have to learn how then to control your flesh. Because either way, if you're quick to anger or if you react with anger quickly, neither are good. Neither are good for you, you know. Or for anybody else, you know, being around that isn't pleasant either. But we're all human beings that are self-interested, so we have to operate according to that in the choices we make. So if it's not good for you, don't do it. And that's enough. That's enough. Yeah, people destroy themselves with anger and like cause so much misery and destruction. So I totally agree with the idea that an angry person is evil, and angry people are not operating in love. You know, these two things can't really coincide, and this is why so often political movements, organizations, groups implode. It's because the people involved are generally angry people. And so that anger, while most of it gets directed towards, you know, a so-called enemy or cause or whatever, you know, that can only satiate the anger so much. You know, it's always stewing in them. I was thinking, you know what else triggered this too? Like, first off, the topic came up on the show this morning that I was listening to. And then I was reading some comments that I got like 4 months ago. I didn't notice these comments. It was on an older video. I mean, not that much older. It was one of the videos I did this past year on feminism. And you know, those were some hard videos to make for me. It was a process kind of coming out of all of that, and really sitting down and talking about why I felt the way I did. It was hard, you know, and I didn't want to like attack people or do anything like that. You know, that's not my motive with that. My motive is always to be like helpful in some way with whatever I talk about here, you know. Let's see if I can pull it up here again. And I don't always catch comments, you know. I often miss them because people are chatting to themselves, or not chatting to themselves, but y'all will chat sometimes with each other. And those are always hard for me when people are commenting about me specifically. You know, I don't always know when they write about me, like I'm not there. I'm always like, I should stay out of that conversation because they're not. They don't really want my input. They're just talking about me, not to me. Oh, anyway, which is fine, you too, and that's valid. It's valid. You can watch this content and like have no interest in talking to me, but you want to talk to other people about it. I think that's great. Like, I want more of that, but it is awkward sometimes when like it's me that's the subject, watching people write about you is kind of hard sometimes to deal with. And I, have dealt with anger because of it in the past. And that anger was really difficult. So, like I said, obviously I know about anger. I don't want to be angry. Let's see here. Where is the comment? Yeah, I just got curious about this. Okay, so it's actually from 2 months ago. Okay, let's see. So this person recommended another YouTube channel. I haven't watched it. I didn't see this comment until now, so I didn't know about it. But they recommended another YouTuber to go see, or to go check out. So someone responded, to that, saying that they think that this channel, not my channel, but thought that this other channel was good medicine for women in the acute throes of despair who don't know what the heck happened to them. Okay. I don't know if I want to check that out, honestly. Like, usually when I'm in the deep throes of despair, I know exactly what happened. I'm not unaware. So, okay, let's see. Anyway, Rose Quartz said, so this is the name of the person responding. Terri used to be that same medicine for me back when I really needed it. I'll always be grateful to her for it, even if she's gone back on everything she ever said. No, that is not true. I have not gone back on everything I've ever said. I have gone back on some pretty crazy beliefs that I adopted and lived by for many years. Like, yes, I have gone back on the concept of feminism, but my insights and my discussion about what I've observed in reality have been valid and fair, and I think the problem with me is I let my kind of anger and my own feelings of dissatisfaction in my life, I let those become the monsters that were driving me, and I don't know where I was. Like, honestly, when I think about it, I think about certain periods in my life, the periods where I got sucked into things. It's like it was happening. Like, I wasn't even there. It was just happening. Like, I know I was actively participating, but at the same time, when I look back at it now, I'm like, whoa, I really was. What I mean by that is I feel like I was possessed by spirits of anger and like really, really just it spiraled in my life, and it caused misery for myself and for others too. I mean, not to like a grand extent, but it didn't need to. So like when I, go back on things, when I renounce feminism, right? Renouncing it. Like, I don't renounce everything within it. I renounce ideology. I renounce false identities. This is what I'm renouncing. I renounce, putting my identity on something external, something worldly. Those are the things that, to me, are what need to be renounced. But when I've been right, I've been right. And again, I've spoken out for years about things that I still believe in, that are still true. It doesn't need to be under a banner of some ideology. I don't have to belong to a political group or affiliation or party to express an idea. I don't need to fly my ideas under the banner of some belief system. That is just so basic. Like I'm not here for that. Like I'm nobody's freaking like puppets. I'm expressing myself for myself. I'm not going to ever like be comfortable with that kind of thing. I'm not comfortable. When I see people like give endorsements, or like really heavily, get behind certain things, like I'm always very, especially like this is 2024, let's be real, election year. How often are people, influencers out here, trying to encourage people excuse me, to vote one way or the other, to vote Republican or Democrat? That's never going to be me. I'm never going to be into that. I find that stuff repugnant. Like our problems are so much bigger than that. And I'm not, again, I'm not here to fly under, a political party or a belief system or like a marginalized identity. I'm bigger than that. I'm a person. I'm an individual. Like, and I want to be living as such. But you can't really do that in this modern era. You have to like be under some kind of label in order to express certain ideas or beliefs, or or to make observations about reality. All of that stuff is just like, all it does is enslave you to this stuff more. We should be able to observe reality and make judgments about it and then move on. We don't need to get caught up when we do that. Don't let ideas have you. Don't let the ideas that you are entertaining make a home in you and possess you and become, or use you to propagate themselves. I mean, ideas are powerful. Ideas are weapons. Again, like back to my past, the words we speak have a power to them. They matter. They have weight. So I don't know. It's just, I was reading that. Okay, so continue. This is the person responding. I do think she was more towards the accurate for the first time. So I assuming this person is a feminist, but maybe she didn't want to be angry anymore because it's so draining, and we can't change it to be realistic. I work with a lot of women, and they're always at each other's throats. I mean, that was very, like, I'm so glad that person, like, and just to find this comment like months later. Yeah, I didn't want to be angry anymore. I didn't want to allow anger to run my life anymore. I didn't want to put myself willingly in situations that would make me angry, that would trigger me, that would frustrate me, that would bring out parts of me that aren't nice. I don't want to be aggressive towards other people. Like, again, there's a time and a place for that sort of thing. And my life is not it. My life is not it. And then the conversation kind of went in different places. But yeah, it's okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so someone responded, yeah, there was more I wanted to share from this. Okay, so somebody else chimes in and says, at least take your anger out on the right people. That's all I'm saying. Men want women. Okay, and this is, again, another feminist, because, in feminist reality, it's men versus women. It's not a human problem. It's not a spiritual problem. No, it's this particular division of difference, male versus female. Okay, so yeah, men want women griping with each other to distract them from who the real problem is, right? Okay, so I can't get with that kind of mentality. I've known women. I know what women are like. Okay, I'm never going to this false, women griping with each other so they're distracted from how men are the real problem. Men are not the real problem. If that's you, if you're an angry woman, if you are a woman that holds on to anger, if you're a woman who acts aggressively, is that somebody else that's making you do that? No, it's you. It's you. You've allowed yourself to become possessed by that spirit of anger. So for here, my anger out on the right people. When I was a feminist, just to speak about this is my reference point. When that was my world, it was mostly female. Okay, my world was extremely female. I was, very much. There were a couple of men in my life, maybe not really close, nothing like, it was very female. So in that circumstance, females are going to be who gets the brunt of your aggression regardless. But, that's not my life anymore. I mean, again, my life is still pretty female. I have all my, female friends mostly. I don't really, but there are male friends I have, and those friendships are different, obviously, but, they're supposed to be. We're different. But yeah, this kind of thing, like, I'm not taking anger out on anyone by renouncing anger. Like, I wish people in these states, I don't want them to be like this. I don't want them to be angry. I don't want them to be at each other. And I want them to break free, but until they let go of their ideology and the spirits and the beliefs that are controlling them, they're not going to be. So that video is not, again, meant, I said, the title of it was kind of salacious. It was, feminism will make you crazy. Right? That was not meant to be an attack on anyone. And for me, it's like, again, that was about me. But that I don't think that my experience is unique. Okay? Like, I'm drawing from my own experience, but I know my experience is not unique. All right. That's a crazy place to be. The feminism is a crazy place to be. It's just another thing to get caught up in, and to, in certain people, it'll take over. Okay, so yeah, someone said the problem isn't people. The problem isn't people, not even men. It's no more men's fault for being cast as the bullies as it is women's for being cast as the victims. They are all just following the roles they were programmed with, neither of them fighting against it. Really? Is this what people think? Like, just, yeah, I do think there is a great deal of programming we go through in our lives, but I don't think that men are bullies, like, or cast as bullies. Some men are bullies, yes. Some men are not. And I appreciate those people who don't bully me because I'm a female, and these are just certain circumstances where it comes up. and male bullying takes on many different forms. I did a video about it years ago, like male bullying tactics. I don't know if it's still up. That might be one to like take out of the vaults, because that was a good video. And again, like I said, I've not renounced everything I've ever said. That's ridiculous. There are ways in which men bully women, and you know, obviously that's a real phenomenon that goes on. Just like, you know, with, again, the problem with feminism and why it's so appealing is that women do have experiences with men that are not good. You know, like the reason that, you know, these women are angry a lot of the times at men. You know, they're responsible for themselves, and they're responsible for letting the anger take over and possess them instead of dealing with it in the right way, which is understanding why it's there in the first place, and, you know, making changes in their life, learning, or, you know, I mean, sometimes horrible things happen too. Like, I don't want to get into like all of that because it's horrible. Like, we know, like, you don't have to be a feminist to understand the impact that male violence has in our communities. Like, there's specific crimes that males commit, or they have a higher propensity to, you know, they're more prone to violent crimes. That doesn't mean that women are not capable of those crimes though either. Like, we need to be careful, though, I guess, when talking about these real phenomena, not to dehumanize the other. That's my issue, I think, with feminism. Like, again, there's in these like comments, there's like this belief, again, that men are always the aggressors and women are always the victims. And that kind of mindset is not helpful. It will not help you as a woman. It will not help you deal with your relationships better. Having that kind of mindset is going to set you up for train wrecks. And it's going to, you know, it's going to further, you know, if you feel victimized now, keeping that mindset is going to just lead you into more and more victimization. You know, you do have to let it go, and you do have to figure out how you're going to deal. And then, you know, I'm saying this about things that are not extreme as well, like, because obviously there are extreme circumstances that people go through that take them a lot more to recover from. But regardless, it isn't helpful still to have that mindset. It is not helpful to have that mindset. I'm closing that now. But those comments too, they like brought up to me again the anger. No, I did not want to be angry anymore. I thought that being angry was bad for me. I felt it, and it did have a corrosive effect on me. It was not good for me in any regard. In any regard, you cannot be angry like that. You cannot be angry like that and expect to live a wholesome, productive life, because again, there's nothing good about anger. There's nothing righteous about it, no matter how you justify it. Humans are always justifying their BS. Like, I get to be angry. I get to indulge in this destructive thing because, you know, I earned it. I'm right. I'm right. So therefore I get to, you know, hold on to this anger, play with this anger, spread my anger around, inflict my anger on some other people. What are we going to do as a society, y'all? I don't know. Yeah, human beings, our anger is not it. Our anger is not justified, it's not righteous, it's not good. No good comes from it. It's just destructive. So why do we insist on, the righteousness is just they feel like it's, an entitlement, like, to get angry. I'm like, you would respond better to the situation that's making you angry if you didn't get angry. I think that's part of it too. That's the really, like, enlightening bit when we get to that point where we're like, oh yeah, anger is actually not the correct response here, because again, what do we really want to do? We want to have an impact. If something is making us angry, something that's happening in the world, in our community, to us, whatever, like, acting from a place of anger is generally not the best response, is it? We have to use our minds. We have to be logical. Like, yeah, the anger's there, but how are we going to go about actually dealing with a situation that makes us angry? And that requires a completely different set of feelings, or non-feelings usually, than anger. It requires us to be self-controlled. So again, I will repeat for those who were not listening before, you either have to become slow to anger, or you have to learn how to control yourself, control your emotions if you are quick to anger, to learn how not to react even if you are angry. Hold it. Learn how to not let that anger get a hold of you, even though it comes to you quick and you get all hot. Because if you react with anger, again, you're just going to make a bigger mess. But if you act with a dispassionate, you act with a dispassionate sort of response that is, timely and well thought out, you generally will have a greater impact. Because again, the anger is just about draining you and manipulating you as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, anger is draining. It's so draining. Somebody, yes, the person in the comment section talking about me was saying, she probably just got tired of being angry because it's draining. No lies. No lies, honey. It is. I don't want to give my energy to that, and really that's the energy I want to give too. I think about that. Like, it's not just about, you being drained, but like, we all are putting things out into the world. We're all speaking things into existence. We're all, like I said, our words are powerful. We're all doing things, with our time and our word. And like, if you are doing things out of anger, you're just spreading fires around, and is that the legacy you want to leave? So you deplete yourself, and what do you have to show for it? You take all that energy that could have been put to so many other things, and you burn it out on anger, and then all that you have to show for it is some other angry people. That's no good. That is not good. Oh, we have some new people in the chat. Good evening, S.A. Brady and Gigi, and Play It So Fast, who agrees that it is exhausting. I can't do it. I haven't been able to do it for many years now, and I'm not going to. I'm just not going to go there. I'm too delicate to be even going there, like I said, I'm naturally, though, say this, like, naturally, my nature is to be slow to anger, despite anger getting a hold of me. You know, despite the times in my life that anger has gotten a hold of me and ran the show, I don't get angry very quickly, usually. I have a pretty strong patience. So, the thing is now I can feel it when it's building. And so when you feel it building, if this is how anger works for you, you have to kind of bring some awareness to that. Like, okay, why is this anger building in me? What do I need to do about it so that it doesn't grow and so that this, fire kind of dissipates? The little crackling, kindling fire in your gut. You have to bring awareness to that and be like, okay, this is not something I want to continue, and you have to deal with it. I think, even though I've been harping about anger, emotions are just tools that we have as humans to check in with ourselves, really. We feel a bad emotion or we feel like anger coming up. Like, I think it's important not to deny that it's there. You don't want to be in denial about your anger and say you never have anger. Because that's one thing with like watching Jesse. Sometimes I think he gets angry. Not in years, I would say, but I have seen him in the past be angry in certain circumstances. But mostly he just seems kind of like, how do I put this? He seems very like, I don't know, unbothered. But maybe that's just because he's gotten older. I think that happens to people as they get older. They don't get as worked up about things. It takes, I don't know, I shouldn't say that exactly because I deal with a lot of worked up older people. But they're worked up about more serious things, I think, than the average person lets themselves bother to get angry with. Because, like, a lot of it, I mean, just imagine, like, you're angry because of ideology. You're angry because of ideas, which, you should just let bypass you. Oh, that's nice of you to say, Gigi. It's heartwarming. I hope so. I hope so. Self-awareness is important. You have to like analyze yourself and other people. You have to like look around you and then also look at yourself to understand anything, really. That's a lot of people, I think, don't observe. They don't always bother to learn lessons from what they're observing. That's important. Like everything that you see and experience is there to teach you something. So even if it's not happening to you, if you're aware of it, there are lessons you can learn about life from it. So thank you. I mean, that's a compliment. That's a very nice thing for you to say. But again, like a lot of this knowledge about anger, I had to live through it and it wasn't pleasant, So at the least, what I can say, if you're not going to hear me out on any other like level, hear me out personally. Like I went through it. I don't want other people to be angry. Like I know what it does. I'm honestly like saying this as a warning to people too. Like, don't let anger rule you. Don't let anger become a driving force for you. Don't think that you're going to go on forever on your anger. I was always really, and I think again, this is part of like the appeal of feminism in some ways and how women get sucked into it. It gives us this never-ending space for all of our anger. We think, that, okay, if we get involved in feminism and we're doing feminist work and actions, and we're going to have this never-ending supply, of anger fueling us. And the problem with like anger fueling you is that you're going to really burn yourself out, and you're going to take others with you. When you do, it's going to be, the burnout will be hard. And then of course the disillusionment kicks in, and you realize that you've been caught up in some nonsense. You've been caught up in some serious nonsense, and you were letting a destructive force rule your life. And it's just I remember watching, I think it was a documentary, and Sheila Jeffries was in this documentary. I have probably shared some of her stuff here on the channel before. I have met her a couple times, like actually, I respect her in a lot of regards. So, just as I talk about her specifically, I want to give acknowledgement to that. Like, this is somebody who I've met and spoken to, a number of times. So, she, in the documentary, had talked about how you have to be fueled in order to do this kind of, and the work she was involved in was beyond feminism. It was, women's liberation, 70s women's lib, very serious, like separatist stuff. And, she talked about having rage fuel you. She's like, anger is not strong enough. It has to be rage. That is scary as hell. When I think about that now, like, I remember being so inspired by her saying that, as a young woman. And now when I think about it, I'm like, damn, rage all the time fueling me. How are any of you still going if that's the case? I mean, a lot of them are, like, and hats off to them. They've, maybe this is their purpose. I don't know. Maybe it seemed to be a lot easier, for some people to fall into, that, or to like do that. And people also just have the work that they're dedicated to as well. Like, I don't doubt that for herself or like any of the other women involved in a lot of things, they are genuine about what they're doing, So I don't disregard that. I know that a lot of people are coming from a good place in their hearts, but again, they have anger or they have rage. And what is the impact of that? Like, how is that acting? What impact is that having on them or the people that they're trying to help? Because I believe a lot of this work needs to be done too. Again, me denouncing feminism is about denouncing ideology or any other belief system that I denounce or whatever. Like, I do not denounce anything that could be put under that category, because hello, women are half the world. Anything that focuses on women necessarily will fall under that, because that's the scope of it. There's going to be like intersecting or like crossover. You're going to find it, because those women are also the women that like keep records. A lot of women are too, again, a lot of what I've talked about and said on this channel, I still understand and believe. People are very ignorant of women's history. I can't tell you the number of times I have to have conversations with people who say the most inane things. Like, I remember having a conversation with someone once who had the outright audacity to say that women never did anything ever. Like, women never accomplished or did anything ever. You know, and I probed, this was a woman saying this as well. So, like, I'm probing her about this. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you really mean by that? Like, completely disregarding all of women's labor throughout history. And, you know, the people have this very myopic view of human history as well, where they don't understand that women have always worked. And that's another myth that I cannot stand, where people act like before the 60s women weren't working. They've always been working. The only women who didn't hold jobs were women of a certain class, but they were working in other respects. You know, a lot of those women either doing like social justice work, or charity work, or work in their community. You know, that's work, as well as running their households, which is work, which contributes to society. It's just so amazing to me the way that people disregard women's contribution, and also disregard the fact that women have always been like working in some capacity. Peasant women worked in the fields alongside the men. You know, before the Industrial Revolution, women were working alongside men doing all that agrarian stuff, weren't they? Women had trades and professions. Women made things like, women were often employed in certain industries like beer making, big breweries, that kind of thing. Women make cooking. Apart from that, like dominating all kinds of industries, but then also, you know, around the world, feminized labor, women have always been working in some capacity. In our modern era, they work. There's not as many differences oftentimes between women's work and men's work. Like, we work in mixed communities a lot of the time. The workplaces are more mixed now, but to pretend women weren't working before that is just absurd. And it drives me nuts, to that kind of like conversation, when people talk like women weren't always working, or they think that there's some, you know, in the past when women didn't work and like men did everything, and it's like, or men, you know, took care of everything financially. I'm like, that was not every household. That wasn't the majority of households. You know, your great grandmother likely worked in a factory, you know, like, I hate to, on top of having how many kids she had, like, I hate to disillusion you. You know, if you're working class, your female ancestors were working. And even if you're not, many of them were working. You know, there were many trades and professions that women took on, feminized, you know, teaching, very big. I just, man, I don't know. That's one of those myths that just drives me nuts. And I'm not saying this because I think that women should be breadwinners, or because I think women should be, you know, leader of the home or something like that. Or I do think that there are spheres of life, though, that women should have control over, and generally the division of labor by gender is, you know, the man is the breadwinner and the woman is responsible for the domestic care of the like running the household, making sure that operates, and the man is responsible for funding. Like, that is a gender role that is generally in place, you know, and if it's not in place, you know, obviously it's not in many households. Like I'm what I'm saying is I'm not against that when I'm talking about these things, and I don't bring it up to, say I don't believe in that. Like I think that's an ideal. However, however, like it is just frustrating to me when people don't have any regard for or respect for the fact that women have always been working. It just is like, why? Why do you not know this? Why do you have such a limited view of history, and you have no comprehension of the fact that women were workers and women worked in trades and women like built things? And maybe we didn't build the things that men have built, right? Maybe not, but to say that we haven't had our contribution to the economy and that we haven't worked is just ridiculous. It's so absurd. It's so absurd. It isn't a modern phenomena. It's not. This isn't, the good old days were not so good. All right. Like, it's important not to look into the past and to have rose-colored glasses and think that things were just so much better and simpler. They weren't. And there's a lot of things in society that I benefit from I guess I'm kind of going off into feminism again. Like, as a woman, I appreciate being able to have some independence. It is difficult, but it's as a human being, not just as a woman, but as a human being, it's important to me, to have some sovereignty. I think every human being is entitled to that in their life. And prior to the reformers and the first wave of feminism, and second as well, women really didn't have their sovereignty to a certain degree, or they were so put out by having sovereignty. Like, life was made so difficult to them if they exercised any sovereignty as an individual. And they didn't have access to participating in society in a fair way. I was having this conversation with someone recently, about how the situation is generally now with divorce, that women end up being granted the children, unless the circumstance is extreme. Generally, women end up with custody if there's custody disputes or that kind of thing. I think that is natural to a certain regard. But, in the past, before the reform movements, and that later became like the first wave of feminism, before those women and men started working for those goals, if a woman left her husband, she would have no access to her children at all. Like, she had to leave her children with him. That isn't always what's best, I think these things need to be seen on a case-by-case basis, in terms of when these things come up. It's horrible, obviously, but, just to hear that, like, if a woman left her marriage for any reason, and this, mind you, is before women had any real legal rights. What happened was she left with basically the clothes on her back, even though she had like given all of her labor to running this man's household, having his children, etc. She had no rights to anything if she left him, or if he abandoned her. I mean, if he abandoned her, he probably, but that, again, men anytime a woman left, men got the kids, and that isn't always right either. Like that, or wasn't right. It was an injustice. And if there's any like abuse by the father going on, like you can imagine what women were dealing with at that time. You really have to, like, it must have been horrible. Like it really did. It really had to be horrible. So there's a lot of things, again, that I talk about, or that I've talked about. Just because I don't have an ideology anymore doesn't mean what I said or what I believed is what's renounced, because the truth is the truth, regardless of where it's coming from. You know, that's a problem, like, that a lot of people have as well. They cannot hear the truth if it's coming from the wrong vessel. You know, it's like, oh, this person told the truth, but they're not the right sort of person to be telling the truth. So I can't like it that they said the truth, because, you know, they're wrong in some way. You know, it's this is where humanity is at. Like, this is where humanity is at. You know, the truth has to come in the right package, or we're not going to accept it. You know, no, it came in that package, and that package is actually like kind of problematic and doesn't align with my ideology. So I'm going to disregard that. Okay, sorry, y'all. Better try harder to make the truth more palatable to me. What is this comment? Reactive aggression associated to high testosterone, I assume, may lend to earlier life mimicked behavior in society. Over time, success in prioritizing effective strategies for problem solving may be reinforcing. I love effective problem solving. People, I know they do. They really do. Isn't that right? People do get angry over nothing. I don't get it. They do. They're so quick to anger. They want to get angry. You ever deal with somebody like that who wants to get angry? Like, they're wanting to get angry. And you know, you're just walking on eggshells. Like, what am I going to say that's going to trip this person off? You know, what's going to make this one angry? You know? You can, sometimes it's like a vibe. You can tell, like, this person's going to go at some point and one of us is going to be responsible. Like, some people just have that angry vibe. Ugh, awful. Awful. As Dave Brady says, it's the worst. Well, you know what? I got really off on this topic of anger. How long have I been on? An hour. Okay, what time is it? I don't want to be on here too long. Sometimes I come on here and I'm just on here for like way too long. I look at it and I'm like, really? I've been sitting here just chatting, doing whatever. So I don't want this to be one of those streams, but I do want to kind of change focus now, just to whine about the weather. So I don't know. They're predicting snow tomorrow morning. And I don't know what to think. Like, it's always just, there's this weird anticipation when it snows. I don't know, you know, exactly how much snow we're going to get, what's going to happen, how long it's going to be on the ground, how it's going to impact me. Oh, that's horrible. 0 degrees. I haven't been in 0 degrees in so long. It's very cold right now out, actually. I thought about going out when I got off of work, but I looked at my like weather app and I was like, it's in the 20s. Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, I understand that I am blessed to live where I live, but it has been cold. I went out this morning though, and I did okay. Like, I was just wearing this, and it's a pretty thin dress, and I had on my slippers. I I went out into the cold just in this for a couple minutes, and I did okay. Like, I didn't get cold at all, but yeah, if I had been going anywhere or doing anything, it would have been, I don't know. Well, it's also the temperature has gone down drastically since this morning as well, just to put that out there. So everybody's getting it, I guess, right now. People are getting a lot of cold, but I'm nervous about snow. I really am. No, Shigella, isn't that a disease? Like, what? What is that? Is this an outbreak or something? No, this is the first I've heard about this. Oh, in Portland. Wait, maybe I have heard about this. This is not impacting me because I don't. This was something that appears to have occurred in, yeah. It seems to be impacting people that are homeless mostly. And it says it's usually spread through. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. That's so gross. Yeah. Common ways to get infected are changing diapers, caring for a sick person, intimate contact, and swallowing contaminated water. It appears that they're providing motel vouchers for people with it. I haven't, yeah, I did see something about this, but I glanced over it before. I don't, yeah, this isn't going to be something that's going to impact me. So I'm okay. Bye, Gigi. Yeah. In some cities, it's spreading on the sidewalks. You know, I think it's important to let's not let the news ramp us up into another state of like fear, because that's just what this is to me, you know. You know, that's the reason that this is spreading is because we have a lot of people who are homeless, and when people are homeless, they don't have access to clean running water a lot of the times. So, you know, to me, it's like I'm not gonna get all, you know, remember what happened a few years back? It was just a few years ago. Didn't people go crazy over a cult? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like too, there's a lot of propaganda to discourage people from visiting cities as well, or, you know, spending time in the city. People who are like suburban, they're trying to, I don't know exactly. I don't have all of my spider senses about it completely figured out, but I'm very wary about what's said in the news. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, because here they banned plastic along years and years ago, like over 10 years ago. No plastic bags, or you have to pay to get a plastic bag. Everything paper, which, in a wet climate is so great sometimes. It's great to have all of your goods in a paper bag if you're walking in the rain. Um, but regardless, they did that. And I'm sure we'll go back to plastic in a few years, and then there'll be paper come back, because these things seem to be moving in that direction anyway. But yeah, I mean, again, they don't have access to clean running water. They don't have access to sanitation, toilets, and they don't have, good garbage disposal. And these places where they live are very filthy a lot of the times. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. It's depressing and awful, but this is why you need to avoid certain things in life. I don't know what else to say. Like, you gotta be careful with the choices you make, and to not let things take over you, like drug habits. But yeah, S.A. Brady, just to answer here, yeah, I don't have to go out much. I mean, when it snows, I can't go out really. I think I might be able to circle the block, because they always tend to salt this block immediately. And that's just because of where I'm located specifically. But yeah, I usually can't get across the street when it snows. So I'm likely to be stuck here. They're predicting snow on tomorrow morning, and then also on Tuesday. So I don't think that the snow on Saturday, if we do get snow, is going to melt, and as cold as it is out right now, we're going to get snow if it rains. Like, and the sky is very cloudy, it's very thick. I'm just trying to be positive about it. I'm nervous though, because it's like, I'm okay. I have everything I need. I planned ahead. As soon as I heard about the snow, I ordered extra groceries. I made sure I had, enough of everything. I did a cat food run a couple days ago. I have stuff to eat. I have plenty of different things to eat, so I'll be fine. It's just, it gets stir crazy. I actually, that's pretty much it for me. I get stir crazy. I don't like to be stuck in the house. I don't know what it is. It's like, I want to spend most of my time here, but I like to be able to just go out and get a little interaction with the world. Not much, but it's good for me to go to the shop, go get a coffee. These things force me to participate in my community to a certain degree. And I don't have to do them every day, but just to know that it's going to be like days and days where I'm kind of just inside. And I'm probably going to miss church too. That's like, I haven't in a while. Like, I keep saying, like, excuse me. They said they might cancel it though, or do something. depending on the snow. So, which would be weird. I don't know. I'm feeling just kind of like anxious a little bit waiting for it, you know? That's the real anxiousness, like anxiety. I'm like, you know, when is it going to fall? How much is there going to be? Like, how crazy is it going to be? That's the other thing, because it doesn't snow here usually. I don't want to say it doesn't snow here. It will snow here pretty much, but it doesn't stay. You know, it's not cold enough here for us to keep snow, really. It's usually warms up within a few days and the snow melts. And the rains come and also melt it. So, but when it does snow, because it's so infrequent and it's so minor when it does, the city doesn't really do anything about it. You know, they just wait for the snow to melt, and people just kind of have to deal with it. You know, there's no plows. None of that. They put like chains on the buses and things, but well, the bus isn't even run by the city. It's a private company. So you know, we get snowed in here is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like a normal city. Like, when it snows, I think they clear it in no time. I mean, it's a small city. It's physically very small, but it does not snow here. Like I said, it's so rare. Or it happens once or twice a year, and it's minimal when it does. But last year we had a pretty big dump of snow, actually. Happened around Christmas time. And I feel like there was another one too. I feel like we had two kind of big snow dumps, and you know, we had to deal with that for a while. And again, in the grand scheme of things, the snow doesn't stick around forever, but it can be difficult to deal with the first few days usually. And Play It So Fast says they got a few inches here in Michigan. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good job. Yeah, it was awful. So yeah, the snowfall around Christmas was something. It was melted by Christmas Day. I remember, because enough of the snow had melted, although it still was not wise for me to go out, but I was able to get to church. So I got to church Sunday last year, not 23, but 22, for Christmas. And when I left, it had melted a little bit more, but it was I probably shouldn't have gone out, but enough of it had melted. But there was another snowfall. I don't remember exactly when it happened that same winter, but that one I was not prepared for at all. Like, I didn't know about it ahead of time, and I didn't really have like much food in the house. And I mean, I had stuff. I was going to be okay, but like, it was kind of like, oh, this is bare minimum kind of, you know, stuff that I had. I'd be okay. Like, I would live, but it just wouldn't be comfortable. So, I'm hoping, you know, we haven't had any snow yet. So if we do get some, you know, it's mid-January. Sometimes it snows like in later winter, like in February, but we're not likely to have a lot of snow. So I'm just trying to be positive. But again, I get all anxious, I get all nervous because I'm going to be kind of stuck at home. But I guess it's an opportunity. I'll probably go live because I won't be going out. You could go live early in the morning too, because I won't be dealing with, usually, especially Saturday morning, I go out pretty early. I get dressed and go get coffee and don't come back until later. So might be able to do earlier streams if I have anything I want to do. I could just come on live and draw too. And then I have other things around the house that I could probably be dealing with. So things I need to do or set up, or things I need to go through. So I'll probably be okay. But yeah, I'm just nervous. This is what it's like when it snows. For me, it's even more challenging than I can't go out in it anymore. I guess that's the thing that kind of makes me sad about it. It's like when it snows, I can't go walk in it. I can't, go walk down the block and see who's open, see if that coffee shop, if anyone made it to work that day, or if they're, all snowed in, things like that. I miss doing that, or, going to the convenience store for snacks in the middle of a snowstorm. Things like that are fun. I guess I miss doing that. But it is what it is. But yeah, this is something to think about. Like, the snow is not easy to get around in when you are in a device. It's just not, it's not good. I'm sure it'll be okay. It's just not knowing. It's like, once it's here, once I see it, it's here. I'm looking, what I am looking forward to though? I'm looking forward to when I get to open the door on my balcony and let Nero outside, and he gets to step in the snow and be like, what? It's the only time I let him on the balcony, because I don't know if I've mentioned it live before, but he has actually leapt from my balcony onto the neighbors' balconies. And it's very nerve-wracking. So he's not allowed out there. But if it snows, I know he's not going to be leaping up on the rails because they're covered in snow. So I get to let him out. I get to let him step in it. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping it does snow, just so we can have those kind of moments. And I'm already prepared. I have everything. So I just want to, see it happen and, kind of deal with it. Once it's here, I'll be okay. I'll be, my anxiety will have chilled, and I'll just be prepared to kind of be a homebody for a few days and not go out, even though it's what I'm used to doing. That's true, S.A. Brady. Somebody could pull me in a sled, but then they'd have to pull me. And how would I get up from the ground? They'd have to be able to lift me up and put me on the sled, Traumatizing him to not leave. He has been running out into the hallway recently. He's done it a few times this past week, and he's bold. He's very bold when he goes out into the, hallway. He thinks he's so smart. He thinks he's so clever. He runs down the hallway, runs back, goes and sniffs around other doors. But I tell you, if anybody tries to open their door, or if somebody leaves their apartment or comes out of the elevator, he is terrified, and he runs straight for the door. But it is irritating because he did it the other night when I left it was like my birthday night. He ran out into the hallway as I was leaving, and I was like, hey, I need you to go back inside, like, now. And he took a couple minutes to actually come back in. It was kind of frustrating. I was worried about time. I made it where I needed to go, obviously, but it's just, when I'm going somewhere like across town, it's just, and you have to be timely, and he was not respecting that. And I had to do like something quick before anyway, it was just, I think he's fascinated by the snow. I will say that. Like, it fascinates him. He doesn't like it. Like, he doesn't like its coldness, but he does find it interesting. Like, he'll go out, he likes to look at it. He's just kind of dazzled by it. But, when he steps in it, it's like no good. He doesn't like that. And it makes sense because he was a desert cat. I got him when I lived in the desert. So he wants to, dig in the sand. He wants to dig big holes in the like sandy earth and, roll around in dust and such. He does not want to be leaping through the snow. That is not what he came here for. Is not what his ancestors wanted for him. He wants to, lay out in the sun. I wish I could offer him that, but he also is very curious, and he also is very territorial. And the thing about him going on my neighbor's balconies, apart from like the safety concern of having him, leaping several stories up, in the air, even if it's like close, it's still nerve-wracking. And he's good. No, don't get me wrong, he's good. He's always made his landings, but I worry about him. He's older now, but he still has that kind of kitten mentality where he wants to do everything he can do and experience all he can experience, and there has to be limitations. And he has a big place here, a big territory that he roams in. He has, places he can go up high and leap and jump and do things, and he has a lot of room to run around. But so, yeah, when he goes onto the neighbors' balconies, it's not only distressing, about his safety wise, I worry about his safety, but he's also territorial. And a lot of the times these people have pets. Okay. And I want you to imagine a little black cat. You're a little tiny dog, and a little black cat has just jumped onto your balcony from out of nowhere. You're going to be losing it. And then the cat is going up to the window and growling at you through the window. Okay. Or you're another cat. And yeah, so yeah, I don't need him going and getting into these little beefs with the neighbor's pets through the window. That's another thing. Like, we don't need any of it. Like, it's not good. So he can't go on the balcony. He's not allowed. But he sometimes does run out into the hallway. And usually, he gets frightened and comes back quickly. But sometimes, nobody else is around. And then we have situations where, it's stressful for me. I have to like keep coaxing him back in. And it's a bit irritating because he's very verbal. Like, he responds to verbal. So I have to be like, come on. do all the little tones that he likes, hoping something is going to satisfy him enough for him to come back into the apartment. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I actually found a cat that way once in the vents. I was playing with my other cat. I was playing with my cat, and I kept hearing this little meow, and I realized it wasn't her. I thought it was her, but then I realized it wasn't, and I realized that I could hear it through this vent, and I opened up the vent, and this cat stuck its head up. This black cat, and you know what? He became my cat. Long story short, that's how we found Panther, and he became part of our family. Oh man, he was a great cat. Like so sweet. He was blind in one eye, and when I found him, he was literally starving. Like he was in starvation mode. I coaxed him out. So like actually ended up having to we had in our home there, we had I don't know how to describe it, but there was a crawl space. So I had to go outside to access the crawl space. So I did. I went and opened it up to get to him, and he came right out. Like I brought treats. Like I had a packet of like Pounce treats, like in the little can that you would shake, the moist ones. I brought those out, and he just he didn't take any coaxing at all. He just followed me. Like he just followed me inside the house. Like I think he just knew that he had no other choice. He had to go with me. And he was so grateful that he'd found me. It was the middle of winter too. I didn't even say this. This was in Alaska in the middle of winter that this happened. And yeah, we had that cat. I mean, he lived another, let's see, 7 years maybe? No, I think, 7 or 8 years with us. He was such a cool cat. He was blind in one eye. He was black as well, a very smoky kind of black. He had very long fur that was prone to getting matted as well. We ended up having to get him we literally had to end up getting that cat groomed. So he was a prissy boy, like this cat that was starving, found in the dead of winter. And he also had sinus problems, which was related to his eye apparently as well. Later we had it removed, which was weird. I loved his eye. It was all cloudy, God, he was a special cat. He was the sweetest, most cuddliest boy too. He just was a little lover cat, just very sweet and friendly. Loved to make biscuits and cuddle and purr and but he had this sinus problem, so he would sneeze, and when he sneezed, he would have this nasty snot come up. Because he had I guess drainage issues. The vet that we had examine him said that they think he had gotten into a fight with a dog. Because dude, he hated dogs. Anytime a dog came anywhere near our house, our yard, it was on. He went into full attack mode. He was very fierce. And the fact that we had 2 cats, because we had Anya, they would team up on the dogs. So he would be the one to kind of intimidate, and the dog would be kind of curious, if the dog didn't leave immediately, then she would go on the attack. Or sometimes it would be the other way around. We saw it the other way around a few times. Anya was something else. She went missing. I always hoped that she found a new place to live, honestly, but I think she might have died. I have no idea. But she went missing. It must have been like 24, 23 or 24. And I was responsible for her. She had come to live with me. But yeah, I don't know what happened to her, but I wish and hope that she found a new place to live. It was hard. Like, I went around looking for her and I made ads looking for her. I even got contacted by somebody on Craigslist who found a cat that almost exactly matched her description. And I went to see this guy's house to see this cat, and it wasn't her. It was like this other cat that was very similar to her. She was a tuxedo cat. Like, usually I just have black cats, but she was a tuxedo, you know? But I found her. She didn't find me. I find like it's better with cats to let them find you, you know? Maybe it is. I don't know. But I find like you mentioned a familiar animal. Like, yeah, when they find you, I think that's when that relationship is kind of formed. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know exactly, but I feel like with cats anyway, like with the cats I've had and I've loved cats that I had that weren't familiars, but yeah, some are familiars, some are not. And I find with the familiars, they find you. It's a special thing. It's a special relationship. You know, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but anyway, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't think about her as often. It's one of the, I actually thought about her though the other day, and she and I had relationship problems too. So that's why I kind of wonder, like, did she find someone else to live with? Because I know she wasn't always happy with me. I didn't give her the attention she wanted. You hope, that she finds. It's just one of those things, like cats, these little friends that come live with us, and our relationships with them are so special. And yeah, I think, yeah, when something like that happens, like your cat goes missing or they die, missing is different. It's just one of those, like, what the heck situations. But yeah, when they go, it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they're important. Those relationships are very important in our life, and people often minimize them, or some people don't. Some people idolize their pets. That's a problem too. It's important not to idolize them, but those relationships are important. I think it's good for humans to have relationships with non-human animals. I think it's for us. It does something for us that we don't get from human relationships. And what it does, I don't know, what it gives us is like I mean, I get a sense of myself as a human being, I think, more than anything, like relating to an animal. Like, it's like almost like dealing with somebody from another nation or something. Like, you have more understanding of where you come from because you're relating to someone who has differences. And like with my cat specifically, I'm just amazed at the things he's taught me about communication and the things he's taught me about patience and like forgiveness and like grace and just respect too, because he is sovereign as well. Like, he's taught me a lot about that too. Like, he's very protective of me. He's, you know, he looks after me in many ways, you know, but he also, he wishes to relate with me and like be my friend and spend time with me and play with me and hang out with me. Like, that time is good to him. It's important to him. What interesting. We go from anger to snow anxieties to talking about cats. Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes that's it too. Like, they have to choose too. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she had to think about it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing when we meet these cats, you know. They just, those relationships are so funny. Like, you know that they're this sovereign person, I think, with cats. Dogs, like, I don't want to say that completely. Like, dogs, I think, are more forgiving than cats, or like cats just tend to like be expressive, I think, in ways that show their displeasure, um, or their not just displeasure, but they show their, you know, they make it clear that they have their own opinion and they have their own mind. Dogs just seem to be like grateful, you know, and excited. And I don't say this to diminish like dogs. Dogs express themselves in other ways, you know, and the communication that I've had with dogs has been pretty incredible. But I find with them, like, they're more looking for a leader, you know? A dog is looking for a leader. A cat does not want you to be its leader at all. A dog wants you to be its leader. The cat is like, don't tell me what to do. I will do things in my own way and I will let you know what I need. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of like the difference between them as pets or as like companions. And both are incredible experiences. Like, learning how to lead a dog is a really incredible experience. And then there's all the other animals too. We're leaving out all the other animals. But I've only had so many animals. Like, I had a fish at one point. He lived a number of years. He was a beta, very beautiful fish. Um, I've had rats as well. Have I had any other animals? I had a mouse briefly, but she, oh God, she just ran off and like disappeared. And I think one of my cats might have gotten her. I don't know. It was, yeah, that was scary. Um, she just ran off and like I couldn't get her and she like went and hid in this corner. Like, I was told I was just given her by my neighbor, this mouse. Forgot about her. Just given this mouse out of nowhere. She's like, "Do you want this mouse?" I was like, "Oh, okay," And she's like, "You can." She's used to being handled, so like the moment I take her out, she leaps out of my hands, goes under my bedroom door, and I can't find her anywhere. And that was the end of that. Never saw her little corpse though, but I can't imagine that she would have survived long. So did you, S.A. Brady, did you just get this cat this New Year's? Or have you been together a number of years? Was it some past New Year's? I just read that again and I was like, yeah, so I've had a mouse. Have not had a mouse since then. I did have rats, a number of rats. I think I had like 12 in total. Maybe not. I counted it recently and now I've forgotten. I don't want to count it again. Did I have that many? I don't know. That sounds kind of excessive. Oh, and this is over years. So no, I've had 9. I've had 9 rats in total. Quite special little things. They're kind of unique. I don't know how to describe them. They're playful and sweet, and they're smart, and they're naughty and crafty. Oh, wow. Okay. She just had her first heat. Oh, that must have been fun for y'all. When they go into heat, your sweet little girl turns into, who is this? Who took my sweet little kitty and brought me this foul creature? My sweet little kitty girl is now becoming a woman. Yes, hi Inkshots. Yes. Well, they're so fragile, and they have big personalities, so you form very strong attachments with these little creatures. Excuse me, I'm trying to say critters and creatures at the same time. It doesn't work. You form this strong loving bond to this creature who is like got this big personality and is so funny, and you enjoy playing with them so much, and yeah, they just don't live very long. And that's hard. I mean, for me, it was the hardest part of having them was like, or it became very hard. Some of them live longer than others. But usually, you're looking at a few years, and they're so prone, and sometimes they die really suddenly too. I've had a couple die very suddenly, like I wasn't expecting. I just found them dead and I was like, okay. That's hard. It's hard when they go. It's very hard. Little babies. Yeah, that is common. Yeah, I've had, a lot of them had like respiratory illnesses as well. They're very prone to that. And that's so hard dealing with like your little baby struggling to breathe, and, you know, in and out of vet appointments. Yeah, it's actually one died on my birthday. I remember he had to go to the vet and they actually had to put him down. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was rough. Oh yeah, I was just talking about my beta. I had a beautiful beta. He was like red and purple. His name was Mr. Bojangles. And yeah, I used to just love watching him swim. And you know what? He had a personality too. Like very fish are interesting. Like I don't know. He was special though. He was a very special little guy. Oh wow, catfish. Raised catfish. I like catfish actually. I've fed them before. There's this pond by where my grandparents live growing up. And once my grandma gave me some bread to go over and throw in the water, and all of these little catfish started coming up with their like weird little faces and munching the bread. Like it was wild. I was like, what is this? I didn't know. I did not know they would come up like that. And yeah, I could get down close to them. Subsequently though, we did this like twice. During the second time we went to do this, I ended up getting bitten by a bunch of little fire ants because there was a fire ant nest near there and I disturbed them, or I was in their way or something like that. And they started swarming me and biting me, and it was extremely painful. Like at first I didn't notice them. I just had like a weird itchy feeling on my leg, and then the pain, the excruciating pain. I'd never dealt with ants biting me before. So yeah, catfish. Anyway, that's my experience with catfish. Yeah, they are like sweet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know they like to show off. Yeah, he was sweet. And yeah, I would just kind of like follow him with my finger. He liked to be paid attention to. I noticed that they're kind of like show offs, I guess, a little bit, but I appreciated having my fish. Mine are Corridora, so they are little things. They were safe tank mates for my beta and outlived all of them. Wow, okay. So these are a type of catfish. I'm not familiar with Corridora. Maybe I am. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. I feel like my aunt and uncle had one. Oh, what cuties. Yes. So these can live with betas. The betas will not attack. They're so cute with their little whiskers. Oh my goodness. What are those for anyway? I wonder about that. They have these like little. There's so many different colors too. Oh, they're so neat. I like that we're talking about animals. Yeah. Yeah, fish are cool. I have a fish tank right now, but my friends, when they came over, like we put it up because I bought this fish tank thinking I want to get a goldfish, you know. I've always wanted a goldfish. Always thought it would be like so fun to have a goldfish. But I've like, you know, I've not, even though I got the tank and some stuff for it, I have not set it up and actually gone about adopting a goldfish, just because I feel like there's a number of reasons. First off, I think that I don't think Nero would, I don't think he would handle it well. I think he would be interested, a little too interested, and I couldn't trust him to not pull something, like knock the tank over or to, I just don't trust him not to, like, period. And also, I think caring for a fish is beyond my capacity right now. Like having an actual fish tank and cleaning it and dealing with all of it, it's going to be too much on top of like having a cat. Like I can't, taking care of him is already like so strenuous. So I'm not going to be dealing with, I don't want to be dealing with having another animal that is relying on me. It's just not, it's too much. It's too much. If my life were simpler, if I worked less hours, yeah, okay. I could handle it maybe, but as it is now, I can't work full time and like handle it. It's too much. Right. Okay. Yes. That's what I've seen them. They do their little barbels. Goldfish live a long time and can get pretty big. Yeah. Yeah. They're beautiful though. Like they're just so fascinating. And then I thought, okay, well maybe not get a goldfish, I could get a beta again. But still, again, I think it just would be too fascinating for Nero, especially a beta, because they're so, colorful and eye-catching and gorgeous. And then I've got this like big tank, I don't think it's safe. And I don't think I'm cut out for weekly water changes and all of the equipment I have to get and run. And like, it's just, I'm not ready for that right now. And that's good. Like, even though I had this vision of how it would be cool to get a fish, I have to temper that and realize that, an animal is a responsibility. And even though it'd be cool to have one, I'm not cut out for it. I thought about too, like, I thought it might be nice to like have a dog at some point, like a little dog, a small dog. But I looked after last Christmas time. I looked after my neighbor's dog, and he's a little thing, and he was high maintenance. We'll just say that he was a high maintenance dog. But taking care of him and like looking after him for that week that I did really showed me that I wasn't going to be, cut out to have a dog. Like it was going to be too much for me. So, I mean, it was a good thing. I was really grateful for the experience actually by the end of it. I managed okay with him. I could have been better, obviously, but like we did okay. Like he got his walks in, he got what he needed. I cleaned up after him, I gave him his medicines and such, we did okay. We met all the criteria, but it was hard. And, I love this little dog. He's the like most troopinest little sweet little thing you ever saw. Like he's just precious as can be. But, I wasn't his human as well. So he was distressed and missing his human as well. Like he was missing his people, and that was hard to deal with too. Like I couldn't do much for him about that. Like I tried to cuddle with him and hang out with him and make him feel better, but I could only do so much. I wasn't going to be his person. So, yeah, having a dog, oof, even a little one, it's just not, it's a lot to consider. Like, people really need to step back and think about the animal and what you can do for it, and if you're really up for the challenge, because it's a lot. Like, even this little dude, oh, he's so tolerant. He puts up with me. I don't know. I'm very lucky, but he's enough. You know what I mean? He is enough. He is more than enough. Um, I don't need any other little animals because I have the best one, don't I, Nero? I hear him moving around behind me. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I get so heartbroken when I see these stories of these animals that just, get abandoned or like dumped somewhere, and I'm like, how can people, I don't know what circumstance they're in, but you wonder, like, was this animal ever really your friend? Like, how do you get to that position? I saw this really sad post recently about this cat that was left with a note, and the woman who left the note was saying that she had to like leave her cat, or she had to lose her, or she had to like leave her because of going to university or something like that, and she hoped that the cat would find someone who would take her in. And I was just like, so somebody did find the cat with this note, and it was just like, how how did it come to this? Like, how did the situation come to this where this cat was just left somewhere random, was just dumped somewhere? Like, how do you do that? Like, and leave this sweet note about how much you love this cat and how sweet she was. I'm like, how did we get here from that? Like, and it's because you had to go to university? What? Like, I understand needing to prioritize your education, but like, what? I don't know. It was wild to me. I was like, oh, how do you just leave the cat here? Like, how do you not find, or not even taken to like a place, not even taken to a proper place to be adopted? I know. Exactly, exactly. Like, they have to be part of the consideration. Exactly. Yeah, that's really hard. That's really hard to deal with. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's a horrible position to be in. Yeah. And let me tell you, yeah, there, Nero has cost me quite a bit of money, but he's worth it. He's worth it, but it's like there was a time when I was like working myself, like getting any extra work I could get, like picking up any extra work I could get, because he needed care. Like, he needed his teeth dealt with. Um, Eventually, I was able to find a way to get, his entire, because it was for a while, like, I could only pay to get, a few teeth removed at a time. It was horrible. Like, when he was having his dental issues. So he had, so the worst teeth would get removed, but, he'd still have his inflamed gums and issues with his other teeth. And like, finally was able to find a program to help, actually. So that was, you know, very, very helpful. But yeah, it was like picking up extra work and doing whatever I could, like, to make money here or there, just to try and save a little. And it was like drops in a bucket compared to what he needed, the cost of the care he needed. So that is something to consider as well with the animals. That's the other thing too about, like, I'm not financially in the position to have a dog. Like, no. No. That, like, just to be real, apart from being able to physically care for it, like, to financially care for it is, yeah, it's not on top of everything else. Not with the cat. No, we're not there yet. We don't have dog and cat money in this household, in this strange household. Well, anyway, I want to get off here. I've been on long enough. I thank you for talking with me about animals, though. I appreciate the people who chimed in, Ink Shots and S.A. Brady, here talking with me about the little animals. They just warm our hearts, don't they? They're just our dear friends. And we want to do well by them, don't we? Like, we do. We want to do well by them and make sure they're looked after properly and taken care of. Anyway, they're such a big anxiety. Oh, well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you're here. All right. Well, yeah, I've been on for 2 hours. I think I should go. I was going to do my nails and I haven't. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll let them be and do them tomorrow. That might be good. Just let them breathe and come back tomorrow and do my manicure. So yeah, like I said, I'll be back soon. I will be, no doubt, having some snow days, so I will be around. And see you soon. Bye.